Hello, everyone. I'm Natalie from Numbers Protocol. Today, again, we're going to have a new interview with our newly onboard creators. It's more special because that we have Autumn's here, who is a music artist. So before we get into a more conversation with her, I would like to also introducing you, Chris from Akoi. If any of the community member remember that our partnership with Akoi, then you definitely know about Chris, who has been in the music industry as well. And Chris, would you like to share a bit more about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and pleasure also getting to know you, Autumn, and hearing everything that you're doing in the industry. So my name is Chris Wieduwilt. I got a long history in the music industry, not as glamorous as Autumn, but I was working with a wide variety of brands building digital products, for instance, L'Oreal, Goodyear, Porsche. Now empowering music artists to take alternative routes to build sustainable income sources through NFTs and develop AI-infused strategies to help them unlock their true potential with their music. With the AI Musicpreneur, which is a weekly newsletter, helping artists to crush tomorrow's goals with AI, pretty much getting rid of or automating tedious tasks and putting more focus on solving meaningful work in the music career.
It's glad to really have you here. I think I would believe that by having Chris join us, we're making this conversation even more interesting and even more insightful as well. I think that's also what we discussed earlier with Chris, that I think the conversation we can be very diverse as well by having like three of us from seeing things from a very different perspective. Okay, then we would like to also welcome Autumn that recently she joined us and become part of the capture community, being the creators in there. And that, of course, first, welcome Autumn. We'd like to take a minute to make an intro about who you are, what you do. I think a lot of them probably all know you already, but we'd love to know more from you.
Okay, well, I'll start with my job is definitely not glamorous. it's writing in dark rooms all the time with no windows, and working a lot for free for many years. And you hope that your song comes out at some point, and then maybe a year and a half later, you hope that that even makes money, which we don't know. So your job sounds way more glamorous than mine. But to sum that up, I'm a songwriter. And what I do is I write songs. And I do that either by myself with other collaborators like producers and songwriters, and very often with other artists. I started out as an artist myself, and I've had many hats in the industry, from background singer to I'm a DJ, I'm a vocal coach, I have been a label consultant, but I just love being in the music industry, and I spend a lot of my time as well doing advocacy for songwriters because we're not being paid fairly. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here because a big part of my mission is to discover other ways that songwriters can monetize and grow as technology is growing as well.
Well, when I first learned about Autumn, that I tried to research about her and I look into what she has been doing online. It would be like a lot. What she did really a lot. I was so impressed with what she has been working on as well, especially to advocate for the creators' rights. I think you do not only just work on yourself, work on your success, but also support the other creators to grow as well. I think that's the part I really admire a lot. So then,
Thank you.
and then today, I mean, as I mentioned in the beginning, is that to have you on board with the captures. Would like to have you also share a bit more that when and how do you learn about capture cam and also about numbers.
So I spoke at South by Southwest this year, which is my first time going to South by. And when you go to South by, there's tons of like panels, but then there's also this huge room which has a bunch of like different companies basically talking about what they do, like all these different desks. It's like hundreds and hundreds of them. And I said, you know what? I want to look at every single vendor here. I want to meet every single person and see what's going on. And then I ran into the Capture app. And I spoke to a young woman there who was telling me about it. She gave me a flyer, and I got home. Well, when she told me about it, I said, wait, you can like take a photo and immediately mint it and post, and like, and then it's an NFT like now. She's like, yeah. And so I had just did my first drop on Nifty Gateway a few months ago with a bunch of other female songwriters. We kind of did it as an empowering piece, advocating for ourselves as women in music. So I got a little taste of how exciting it could be to get into this world. So, but also how tedious it was to do our drop. It took us almost 2 years to do this collaboration. So I said, well, this is exciting. So I got home. After this trade show, you have like a bag full of flyers. It's like this high. So I found the flyer. I downloaded the app, and then I just said I had so many like ideas in my head of where this could go. So then that's when Natalie and I met, and I've been using the app ever since. I'm kind of using it right now as like a time capsule for projects that I'm really excited about. That right now they might not look like much, but maybe in 3 years those pictures are going to be really special because you're going to see the making of something magical. So I'm trying to be really specific on the pictures I'm posting. Doesn't mean it's with like the biggest person. It doesn't mean it's with the most, but it means it's something that's being planted that I believe is going to grow into something in the future.
As Autumn also mentioned about the NFT projects that you did previously with the other female artists as well. I think because Chris has quite some experience helping music artists to launch their NFT project as well. I'm not sure if Chris have anything to share or any like previous experience that you think might be cool, or some questions with Autumn together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always great to see that you have such a long standing history in the music industry, and you've seen technological changes taking place before your eyes. Napster, almost wiping out the entire industry, CD and vinyl sales going down, then Spotify hitting everything, and taking so much. And you said it yourself, artists are the last to get paid, and they normally get paid the least, right? And you have to wait around a lot. And I think with the blockchain, one of the things that I'm most excited about, and I would be interested in your opinion, is the front loading part, front loading revenue. So with Spotify, you have to wait 3 to 6 months sometimes to get paid. But if you're minting an NFT, it's there in an instant, and that's also something that Capture app and Numbers is driving, right? They're giving more freedom to the creators to do it on their own terms.
I mean, I think it's really empowering. And by the way, 3 to 6 months is a very hopeful number. I mean, yeah. it honestly very often takes a year and a half for me to get anything, and you just don't know what it's going to be. But yeah, it's just so exciting to get. Creating music is the opposite of instant gratification. So you create music, but the last thing you're going to get is an immediate response, because from the time of creating it to then figuring out who's going to release it, to a release plan, to it actually being released on a platform which you're competing with 80 to 100,000 songs a day, it's like discouraging for many people, right? Because you're like, how is my song going to stand out against all these other songs? On top of that, hoping you get playlisted. And then at the end of the day, even if you get all of those things, it doesn't often equate to any success. So this is really exciting because it's like you can create something, immediately see a response. And then when the response goes well, you're immediately being rewarded for it. That is just the opposite of how our system works. And to get paid for it, like when I saw a few dollars in my account, from Nifty, it wasn't like life-changing money, but I was like, I felt so appreciated, because that just doesn't happen in our world. It's like a year and a half later, we see something on our statement, the starting to come in from that song. And this was just it really puts the power back into the creative.
Could not agree more.
And then I would also like to extend the conversation a bit further, is that like by using the Capture app, so what's your experience to use it? Well, this Capture app is like also not only just for photographer, but also for music artists like you. I know that you mentioned you pick up some photos that very specifically you think they would make a lot more meanings for up to 2 or 3 years. And besides that, do you see any other potentials within Capture the app as well?
I've been paying attention to the NFT space early on, but I'm still a baby at it and need help. So I'm just learning very slowly, I feel. But I do feel like Capture is really, really unique, because what you can do is capture moments. And, the NFT space for me just seemed a little overwhelming and daunting, because it seemed like in the beginning you needed to be like an incredible visual artist. You needed to have people to design things for you. You needed such a big team and so much thought into things. And sometimes you're living in art. Sometimes you're living in the moment of something that's so special, or you're a part of something, or you're seeing something, like maybe you're traveling and you see something that's like, the whole picture's worth a million words. Maybe you see that picture, and getting the opportunity to, as a human, express yourself, I think is really important, as we are coming up against a lot of AI, which is kind of in some ways taking away from that human experience. So I think the more, music to me is just basically expressing the human experience in a way to connect with other humans, right? So the Capture app kind of gives that opportunity to also express that through a photograph. And this is the lens of the world through your eyes. And I think that is really, really important that it maintains, especially as like so many AI photos are being, manipulated and created. You don't know what's real. You don't know who's a real model, who's a fake model. You don't know what's a real background. I see pictures now of real estate. I'm like, is that house really the shape of a guitar? I'm like, oh no, this is like a fake photo. But I don't know. And so what is real? I think it's really, it's odd that like maybe in the future, like just a human's experience is gonna be like exciting, right?
I think like it's really like making us that like to be, we're gonna question ourselves all the time. We're gonna question everything that we see and read on the internet all the time, because kind of it making you drive you a bit crazy. Like, really, is really something that's happening right now or not? And then you ask someone else, and they will be like, maybe, and it would be like, I don't know how Chris felt about this.
I mean, you said it yourself, like with the pace and the amount of content that is created is already so great, and not so great in a good way most some of the time. And AI will accelerate that even more because it unleashes the creativity that we might not be able to unleash otherwise. So it's definitely an accelerator, but what we need to be careful is how we drive it ethically in a way that it doesn't hurt people, right? But that it benefits people at the end of the day. And of course, there will be a lot of in terms of music, there will be a lot of songs. There already are a lot of songs that are going on Spotify that are AI songs that are more like fast food for the ears, and they're not soul food, right? And the soul food, that's what we humans crave for. Like, we love to listen. I still love to listen to 7-minute songs. That's great. I mean, come on, Led Zeppelin, it's Stairway to Heaven. Who doesn't like that? And I do not want to think about a future where this experience is going away of us being very, very attentive to melodies, etc. So I think AI can do a lot good. It can do a lot bad if it's put into the wrong hands.
Yes, absolutely.
Totally agree with you as well. And also, I think this question would like to address this to also both of you, is that how do you see the current AI trend? As we already touched upon AI, would love to hear your view, that also maybe your observation or maybe also your own experience to see that how AI has been happening in the music industry.
Here we go. So basically, no artists have broken this year. There have been no monumental breakthroughs of talent, and that is really scary. That means that artists are not. I don't think it's because there aren't great artists worthy of it. I think it's because the system around them is not. It's not really supporting what an artist needs to become to fulfill their greatest potential. And I have to blame a lot of that on algorithms and on us relying on technology to tell us what is great in music. And I'm seeing it. I'm seeing artists very depressed in sessions because they should be focusing on creating music, but what are they doing? They're focusing on creating content, creating content to post, content to this, content for that. I have to make more videos. I have to do this. My label told me I need to post more. And they're like, I really just want to write songs. So what we're doing is we're creating half influencers, half artists. But when you look at the great artists that are really amazing, like, I don't think Adele is spending a lot of her time on TikTok. I don't think Stevie Wonder is spending a lot of his time doing TikToks. I think they're spending a lot of their time living in the life of being an artist. And during COVID, a lot of artists got signed off of TikTok, a lot of artists, and then most of them got dropped, because you cannot sign an artist based off of a 15 to 30-second clip and expect them to be ready to be an artist. That's not significant enough, So I feel like the technology is kind of training us in the wrong way to go after the wrong things. And I'm very fearful of an industry that is dictated by machines. I also fear that, I put a lot of thought into this stuff all the time. I also fear that because people are making stuff that they think an algorithm is gonna attach to or attract to, because people are thinking about music in that way, as opposed to thinking about music for a human connection, about thinking about something they really love, believe in. They're thinking about music like fast food. I feel like humans are training themselves to be worse artists. So you're training yourself to compete with another algorithm who's going to make AI music, right? But I know nothing. But for me, I'm like, okay, that algorithm, whatever AI competing music is like a computer to me. So that computer is always going to communicate better with another computer because in some way I think they're speaking some secret language that I'll never know. So why are we trying to be like them when we can only be the best versions of ourselves? And eventually, if you're trying to compete with this AI machine, that machine's going to replace you because you're never going to be as good as an AI doing AI music, but you will always be the greatest at doing what you do. So I strongly feel like artists need to hone into their individuality, hone into who they are as an artist, find out who that is, spend a lot of time being a freaking amazing creative, not trying to follow trends. And then the trends will follow you. So that's just my spiel.
I like to look at it. I could not agree more. Actually, what you're saying, we have to be cautious about it. At the end of the day, you know, we listening to music, we like the music, but we love the person behind, right? We love what that person stands for, their personality, their storytelling abilities, and I think a machine, if we know as humans that a machine has written that song, we'll feel a bit different about it. It might still give us emotions listening to a certain melody because it triggers our mind to respond in that way, but there's no way to dive into lyrics and find a deeper meaning because the lyrics that are laid out, they're not the path of the artist. So I believe the best way to drive AI is to be cautious about it, but to not eliminate it. Because there are great opportunities for artists to use it as a tool, not only like for music production, but also like for strategizing. So for music production, you can get rid of like these tedious tasks, like some of the mixing and mastering that is like really like repetitive work, or like in the studio, like doing frequency and everything. But it can also help you like with strategies. What you just said about, you know, creating content and content and content. Eventually, of course, everyone is going to be using AI to write content like with ChatGPT, etc. But it can, what I believe can happen is we can free up time for artists. And it's the only thing that they can buy more of, right? You need to write music, you need to be on tour all the time, 365, it's like according to a label, right? So speak defense at the same time. And then like in your other ear, you have someone on the phone doing an interview with. That's not possible. Like artists will burn out. They already burn out, all of them. So I think we can use AI as a tool, as a gift to sort of like get rid of the tedious task to more focus on the meaningful work. That's one thing that I'm generally excited about. I definitely do not want people to be replaced by robots. I think that's a horrible future.
It's definitely going to happen. I mean, I'm sure it's going to start a lot with like library music, you know, and stuff like that, which, you know, it's somebody at the end of the day is making a living making library music. And though it's easier to create with AI, I just don't feel like I don't feel like those people should not have a job because AI can do something. I just don't agree with it.
What you mean, yeah.
Yeah, but I also believe that I think the human creativities will not be able to be really replaced by the machines, because like ultimately that you share also previously as well, is that like the beats that you create, it's really the rhythm that you have in your mind, in your hearts, those the machine cannot detect. And it's not something repeated that just can be created by the machine only. So
it's not, but I also feel like I'm a poor example in a lot of ways because I should have quit so many times. You know, like I'm a poor example of what the industry is because I'm the exception. I'm not the rule. And the rule is not this. The rule is completely different. You know, for whatever reason, I was given a certain hand of cards that made me really resilient, really creative, really innovative. I'm a fighter, but a lot of people are not, and it shouldn't be this hard. And that's the problem. Like I feel very bad when people look to me and think, oh, this is the way I can do it. I'm like, no, please don't do that. This doesn't make any sense, and it's not replicable. Like we can't repeat this. And I also started in a time where physical sales were still happening. You know, I got the end of the whiff of physical sales, and I create a lot of my own projects from scratch. You know, I don't necessarily wait for a label to give me something. I'm like creating it, but most people are dependent upon the label, upon artists, upon the system that needs to work. So like, I am very fearful for their futures, very, very fearful.
But I also believe that we need to sort of see, because we got a very low class and we got an upper class, right? But there's no middle class in music, really, right? I mean, either you have big budgets or you have zero budgets. So I'm hopeful that with some of the tools that are technology that is coming through, we can try to identify opportunities to close that gap, to get closer to and I mean, an indie artist, they don't have to have like 1 million fans or 2 million fans. They only need the 1,000 true fans, according to Kevin Kelly, right? That's all they need. So, and if there's tool and technology that can enable them, that's beautiful.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think an artist could definitely survive with 1,000 true fans. The problem is the writer writing for those artists with 1,000 true fans can't. You know, that's the issue with this whole thing. So it's like, unless the deals have to be completely restructured, where the writers are somehow getting a percentage of everything that encompasses those 1,000 fans making an income, but then the artists will end up with no money if they only have 1,000 fans. So, you know, I feel like with the NFTs and the future of all this, whoever is getting involved with this, please think about the people making the music, you know, not just the artists, because we often don't monetize from a lot of the opportunities the artists receive.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. As I think also, I would also like to echo some that Autumn shared earlier, is that like to have the song to be listened via Spotify, when the song can be created, behind it, the process being taken, and the people they put their effort into it. It's like the songwriter, the producer, and like there are many people get involved in that, and those people their credit should be recognized as well. So that's also how we see that like in this AI era, if there's no clear provenance can recognize those people to giving the credit back to them, then it would be really, the situation would become even worse in the futures. So that's really what we will try to do by bringing the provenance into this digital media contents, no matter it's music, art, any kind of like creativities. And the essence of the human creativity to be recognized, to be recorded, then they could also then the royalty distributions and like the proper monetization can really be in place after they are being recognized. Like you two all touch upon quite some of the, let's say, maybe the challenge that you see in the music industry. Wonder if there are some other also key challenges or problem that you see in the music sectors, which you like to highlight, and maybe you are also hoping maybe tech could solve, or maybe something you would like to advocate to the industry that we should really look into it.
Sure. I mean, I think for one, the way you can get paid from this world, right? The way that the money is tracked and traced and received is like, I mean, we're still writing checks. You know, we're still sending faxes. Like, what's going on? we're like, you know, just a level above Pony Express over here. So the way that it is possible to create work and follow the money stream and put it in people's bank accounts that week, but we're still getting paid in such an archaic, old way. I think that's a really could be an exciting. I mean, I know there's a lot of companies trying to figure it out, but you know, like same day, like, oh, your song streamed this much today. This is what you made for the day. You know, like I have no way to tell you what my income is going to be in a year. I have no way to tell you how much money I'm going to make in 6 months. I don't know. It could literally be anything. It could be $1. Like, I don't have any way to plan life like that, you know? It would be so exciting though if we could figure out a way of like, oh, this is what's coming, you know, from this, blah, blah, blah. And you can like, people could plan a little bit better. You've got to be like, songwriters got to kind of be like financial wizards, because we have to literally understand and plan 2 years in advance, because that's how we have to think with our money.
No, I really agree to what you're saying. It's really old systems where the supply chain of money going through different hands is just not up to date anymore. And I think if we have something which is more, first of all, like you said, something that is more transparent, let me have a look at what I'm actually going to get. Because there's gatekeepers all in the market, like with Spotify. The artists do not have any data that is actually usable about their audience, so they don't know who their fans are. And the same like with producers or like a royalty distribution, the blockchain can enable you to do the entire licensing process, put together like royalty distribution mechanisms on chain, so that you know that kind of stuff, like going to a lawyer and I don't know, talking to a publishing agency or your labels, that takes so much time, and there's so much human error also involved in that process. So if we can solve that by a piece of code, I mean, that's beautiful, because like you said, you know, everyone that is working a normal job, they're getting paid. And they know they're getting paid on a day. So why not the creators? I mean, at the end of the day, you know, they're who make our lives beautiful. Music is a companion. Like music has always been a companion. It doesn't matter where you go. If you go into the club or like a concert, or you're at your wedding, you know, and like the first dance and there's a band playing, there's always music, but we're taking it for granted. And I think it's time that we stop taking it for granted and make it a real deal.
Absolutely. I mean, even, you know, the streaming services are all kind of raising their rates right now $1 or $2, because we recently won this year. We settled, I should say, we also settled in the CRB trial. So that means songwriters are going to get paid a bit more money. So in response, they're probably raising their rates to make up for some of that. And I can see people like, you know, consumers, everyday consumers are like upset. They're like, oh my God, I got to pay $12 for all the music in the world. I'm like, do you not remember when a CD was $15 for one CD of 12 songs? You're complaining about every song in the world? Stop it.
Stop it right now. Exactly. Could not agree more.
Yeah, but I also agree with Chris that music is really with us every day. I still remember that in the old days, I always carried a CD player with me in the bag in the travel between the cities. It's like with me all the time. And I have a full shelf of CDs that my dad always asked me, so why do you get so many CDs? And you can really feel the changes in the industry, like CDs a lot, but then right now it's even difficult to find a CD player.
I know. Every time someone gives me a CD, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I have nowhere to play this. I'll give it back to you. I'm so sorry.
So really,
I still have
a
vinyl player at home, so I still do that.
Vinyl is back though. Vinyl sales are doing well.
Real.
Yeah, vinyl is cool.
Absolutely.
So probably CD will come back again sometime after a couple of years later.
Did you see someone just sold the first iPod for like $29,000?
Really?
Very first iPod?
It's mental.
It was like the first edition iPod, something like that. They just sold for like 29 or some. It was a lot of money.
Wow. That's memorabilia though, like at the end of the day, right? And I think the same thing we could say maybe like in 10 to 15 years about like music NFTs. Like, I don't know, like just imagine like you're buying an NFT from, like you're an early fan of The Weeknd and you would support him like before he blows up. That thing is going to go up in value, but it's also going to be valuable for The Weeknd or any other artist, because they're going to make money out of on the secondary market sales. The secondary market sales, that's, I think, something that is like for creators very valuable, the passive income source that, you know, that like with Spotify, you always have to create a new song. And then when are you going to drop the new song? Well, you got to feed the algorithm, or you got to feed the viral hit machine on TikTok. And that stuff is just exhausting.
Exhausting. And I'm not going to participate. I'm not a part of it. I'm just like, whatever. And the artists I work with, I'm like, I'm just trying to work with artists that are so undeniably talented that I'm like, the music will work. You know, I have faith in you. I have faith in the process. There's a bigger picture. You don't need to stress yourself out over something you don't want to do. If you want to do it and it's natural for you, then do it. Whatever feels natural for you. Nobody will agree with my opinion. That's fine. But at the same time, what they're doing is not working. So
creating is the most beautiful thing that exists. I mean, you know, like we do our job like every day, and we sometimes forget the person that we are outside of that job. That there's other like facets to us that that occupy our minds and that thrive us to create. I mean, for me, that's like a side of working with artists. I don't have so much time playing the guitar anymore, but every time I do, and you would agree probably, every time you're picking something up where you know you're going to be creating, you're reconnecting with yourself. And I always feel like that's the case, and it's one of the most invaluable experiences that there is in life.
I totally agree with you. Yes, you definitely are reconnecting with your true self. Yes.
I'm also quite curious, like Autumn, you as artist, that because I'm just imagining that when you write a song and your creativity goes out to Spotify, and there's so many people around the world to hear that, what's the feeling, what's the emotion that when you get to, like, maybe on the street that you just overhear someone, they listen to your song? I think I'm like quite curious about that feeling as well.
Well, I can't say I get too excited about a streaming release, But I get excited when it's like on TV, when it's like if I have a commercial that, you know, licensed a song. I get excited if I'm watching a movie and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I have a song in this movie. This is so freaking cool. Or to see your name at the end of a movie credit, like, you know, this song, and then it's like who the writers are. I get excited when you see an artist performing live and you see the human connection. You see the audience reacting to it or singing along. You know, that's an amazing feeling. And I also get really excited as we're creating the song, seeing the artist come to life and like feel like we're making something that really connects with them and just feels really special. You know, it's you know, it's cool when you get a playlist when you're like, oh, I got New Music Friday, or you know, you got some cool playlists you never had before. That's always cool, but I'm fully aware it just doesn't equate to necessarily like anything happening with the song. So I don't get super excited. But there are a lot of other moments when you do get super excited about the songs.
It's like was one of the moments when you did the theme song for the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2011.
Yeah, that was my first commercial release. That was super exciting. You know, I was like, I didn't even completely understand what that was until later in life, like how cool that was. But that song in particular has been a great gift, and it's still living. Last year, actually, it went viral on TikTok. 12 years later, and that's exciting to see a song that like is so old, everyone forgot about it, and then all of a sudden it gets a new life, you know, and then it starts trending on different charts on Shazam, iTunes. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. It just shows the life of a song is can be forever.
Do you think that AI can change that? Because Grimes, she released this AI voice model, right? And people love to, like, I mean, who wouldn't want to collaborate with one of their favorite artists? Do you think that's gonna sort of like warm up old back catalogs? Let's say like there's an AI voice model of John Lennon, and you can do a cool track. I mean, you could never replace the talent of John Lennon in any sort kind of form, but do you think there's a place for that?
No, I don't. I think it's incredibly unethical. And I don't want people to mess with John Lennon's voice. I don't want to mess with anyone's voice who doesn't have agency and life to say if it's something they would ever want to be a part of. I'm super against it. And
it needs to be ethical, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't agree with it at all. I see people like making, you know, these AI songs using deceased artist voices or artists that did not get permission for their name or likeness. You know, unfortunately, we don't have laws yet that are protecting necessarily this particular type of situation, because it just kind of like happened, and laws are really old, but we're working to create them now. I'm not a fan of it. I'm like, if somebody didn't want to sing it, they can't sing it. Can it be useful sometimes for pitching a demo to an artist? Probably. You know, like if you're pitching a song to Selena Gomez and you can already show her how she would sound on it, could that help sell the song? Yeah, it probably could. Also, it could save a lot of people money and time who don't have a singer to sound like that when they want to pitch a particular reference. But then again, that song should only be heard by a few people to sell the song. It shouldn't be heard by the world. You know, I just think it's really intrusive, and I'm not a fan of it at all.
That's why I really like, you know, the feature that you got with the Capture app and like Numbers, where you're doing theft monitoring of assets, like right now images, right? But like maybe in the future also like analyzing audio, so that you know, labels, etc., they can figure out, or the rights holder, the intellectual property rights holder, can figure out when someone is you know, releasing, minting something on the blockchain and using their voice unethically or unauthorized. And I think that's the only way. That's one of the ways forward to really drive authenticity and provenance. That we lay everything on the table and we make sure that we treat creators and artists fairly, right?
Exactly. And I think, well, lastly, like I would also love to hear you two's opinions around that, maybe how you expect, or maybe your expectation toward the music industry, and any of the words that you would like to share with the fellow creators as well, the fellow music artists, songwriters, that, I mean, to give them your insights.
Lord, I mean, how I would like to see it grow. Okay, is this a fantasy, like an AI dream, or okay?
Everything is possible.
How I would like to see it grow is music creators are valued. They're paid fees. They're giving meals during their sessions. They are fully rewarded and compensated for their time. They are asked for permission to release their songs. They receive points, fees, as well as their publishing, and they're invited to award shows. You know, they are super valued just as much as anyone else who's helping to keep this industry going at the level that they do. Like everything in the industry is literally because of a song. Like songs are the products, and everything else is driving this product, right? Every single thing is how do we sell this product, and the artists are the vessels for everything. So how do we support this artist? How do we get these songs? But it's all like that. Those are the most important things, and the people that are doing that, for them to be super valued, super adored in an imaginary world, really happy and respected, and that there's pathways for high creativity. You know, there's more opportunities, and that would be a dream. Is that going to happen? Probably not. No.
But it's still romantic to think about it like that.
It's very romantic. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's a better answer. I mean, how can I top that? I think adding to that, I would wish for artists to be more, let's say, confronted with that their music career is not about longevity but sustainability. So that they don't have to write 10 albums until they hit a point where they can pay for their meals like every month and they can pay for their rent. But they're coming to a point where they can find enough monetization opportunities. One thing that I'm excited about is telling stories in a more immersive way, which is connected like to gamification, for instance. I know that like video games, they monetize so good, and the industry makes so much more money than music. And I believe like with artists, they have great stories to tell. So why not tell them like in a video game?
I love that, and I'd love to get involved in that. So I'm open to all kind of cool ideas like this.
I think I need to connect you with someone then.
Okay, let's freaking do it.
Okay.
It's really nice that to have you two join together in this conversation. I mean, you two touch upon a lot of points that we think that a lot of creators, no matter what kind of creativity they are doing, they should be respected. They should be getting recognized, being credits, and even getting monetized for what they put into their effort, what they put into their talent in to create that. And I think technology somehow that I personally would like to see technology as a way to support, to help them in a way, instead of like bringing threat, let's say. So, and as numbers or as captures, that I think we are always being in a supporting role, where we hope that what we have been doing could support as artists like Autumn, so as a consultant like Chris, who also working with music artists as well, and also even more creators out there. I think that's what we are trying and hoping that we can work together to build a better future. Maybe it's also a romantic imagination, let's say, but you never know, because like things right now change so fast. Maybe their dreams will really come true in a short time frame, let's say.